Welcome back to AFL Supercoach. Hope your weekend is going well. I believe this is the 22nd daily video in the streak now, so pretty happy with that. And following on from yesterday's Ruck video that I did, I've layered that data onto the 2025 fixture for each Supercoach relevant ruck. So yeah, we'll look at that today. So the rows up here, like these first two, so they display each opponent's averages, like the average score that they give up. So like, remember in yesterday's video, if you watched it, each player had like an average of the score they concede. So Briggs 97, you get it. So they're also color coded. So below 90 is red, and they're the players that you obviously want to avoid. Orange is 90 to 100. Light green is like 100 to 119, and 120 plus is dark green. And I think West Coast is actually the only dark green one in these first few columns. So yeah, I know it might seem harsh to grade anything below 90 as red, but these are mostly primo rucks that we're dealing with in this video, and we obviously want them to score like one. So, would you be happy with an 89 out of Gorn? Probably not, so I rest my case there. There's also this companion part, I guess you'd call it, that I've included. So this is these rows here. So you can see each player, they've got the top rows here, like where it says Gorn, and then he's got this second part here. So this is what our ruckman in question, so Gorn for the example, what he averaged against these opponents here. And this is based on last season. So it gives us more of a bigger picture, I guess, but the reason I've included the companion part is because the averages that tell us who are the most restrictive rucks at the top, they don't tell the entire story. So I'm going to really nerd out here now, and I guess it's the best way I can explain this. Think of each ruckman as a Pokemon with a specific typing. So some seem to match up well against some and not well against others. So for example, like where O'Brien, he was like the most restrictive regular first ruck. Gorn still matches up well against him and put 129 on him last year on average. So basically you can use the bottom part to help with the top part as much as you do or don't want. Like you can pause it and have a look and stuff. But yeah, the thing is, a red player up here, as you can see, can be a dark green player for a team down here. So like, look, perfect example is the O'Brien and Gorn one again. So I know it's a bit crazy, but I hope it makes sense. Also, I know it's a little bit hectic to look at, and probably looks like someone vomited fruit tingles on the screen or something, but I didn't really know how else to do this. And yeah, for me, putting it, like seeing a fixture run in colours is a lot easier than just staring at a bunch of numbers. And that's just me personally, but anyway, that's what you get because it's my video. So hopefully you make your own conclusions, and yeah, let me know in the comments. I'll discuss the players a bit though, so we'll get into that now. And obviously I'll start with Gorn. He plays West Coast twice, which is really good, like really good for his potential scoring here, because we all know West Coast are easy to dunk on. Although looking at this, it's pretty crazy. He didn't really destroy them last year. So he's got 10 of the light green games up here and 7 orange, so that's pretty good. The 4 red games here, so these restrictive guys, that would be a worry, but this is where the second part really comes into play. So like as you can see, those 4 actually become, like O'Brien becomes dark green, Big O's actually green. Yeah, you get the picture. So Grundy's the only one that actually, the restrictive one that he doesn't do well against. He actually, his fixture has the least amount of restrictive guys up here as well, like in the first lot of data. And it's that good. He's only got the 4 here. The next best is 6. So he's quite far ahead in terms of scoring and fixture, I think. But yeah, Grundy's is only like real red player, and traditionally they've always just cancelled each other out of games anyway. So you can see Essendon, they're an unknown because he didn't play either of these players. He actually hasn't played against Essendon since 2022, but this is Gawn we're talking about here, so I'll back him in to find a way, and the rest of these, he just seems to go ham on them anyway, so yeah, I've got him in my team, and I don't think he'll be moving. In my conclusion, like from this video alone, he is the best pick, I think, for a ruckman this year. Now, if you remember yesterday's video, or last night's video, whatever you want to call it, you remember I was pretty off Cherry, actually, because he appeared to just beat up on those weaker ruckmen. And while that is true, this bottom section here, it shows he actually scores pretty well against everyone, basically, well, except Wits. So that's now bringing him back into contention for my side, I think. It's hard to put a price on that kind of safety, and I'm really quite confident now that he and Gawn will be R1 and 2, barring any injuries. So his 8 red fixtures is not ideal. Like it looks worrying, but the lower section shows he matches up pretty well against all of them. Obviously, Brian and Draper, they're the unknowns again, just like Gawn, but yeah, I'd back him in to beat them. So, ironically, when he was beating up on all the weaker ruckmen last year, and everyone seemed to be dunking on Reece Stanley, he's Cherry's lowest average I can see here down the bottom. So, yeah, it's got some real oddities, this whole thing. But what do you make of Cherry as a pick now? Like knowing this and knowing that he did inflate his average by beating up on the the shittier ruckman. Let me know in the comments what you think, because it is a hard one. Even if you think he's going to be a good pick, I think he's still pretty likely to lose money to begin with. So do you want to pay up and just get him and set and forget and like lose the money, or if you go on that value strategy, do you wait, maybe get someone else in and then try and flip to him? I'll come back to that later. So I know Marshall's injured, but he will be back, obviously. And if it's Boyd as first ruck, then just use the top section without the bottom, obviously. Marshall, I think he's got it a bit harder than the first two here. So he clearly doesn't like playing against Gawn or Grundy. We can see that here and here. But yeah, I'm guessing most players don't, to be honest, because those two are, well, they've been pretty dominant for a long time. Grundy's obviously dropping off now, but yeah. Yeah, I'm heaps tired too, so if I don't sound myself, I apologise. It is pretty bloody late, but so yeah, on Marshall again. It looks like he prefers those tank type rucks here. So I'm guessing it's because his mobility lets him spread from the contest and he can get those marks and stuff how he likes to score, but they can't go with him. He's a pretty good example as well here of that stuff I mentioned earlier about like the Pokemon typings and stuff, if you want to look at it that way. But I'm not going to spend too much time on him given that the injuries happened, and even if he's back, he's probably going to miss like the start of the season, and I don't see him as a pick really. Maybe he could be a downgrade later, but you kind of don't want to be picking guys that have those interrupted pre-seasons. Then we got Nankervis down the bottom. So he gets West Coast twice, which it should be good, but for some reason, if you look here, he did not make the most of that last year, and he averaged 87 on Williams there. So yeah, it's another one of those oddities in this, and I absolutely love it. I love the weird stuff that it throws up. The three that he seems to not score well against, they're all the athletic type. I mentioned earlier about the typing. So yeah, you can kind of see again how that comparison works. To be honest, I highly doubt that he's going to struggle against BJ again though. Like it's probably an outlier, and if he's not and he's against Flynn, then it suits his style more because Flynn's not that athletic type. So I think it should be fine if you're picking him. I know a few people are, or at least they're saying they are. It's all different once you get to like, right before lockout in round 1. But yeah, he's got a pretty nice pre-buy fixture here. So like, it doesn't look the greatest here, but if you look down the bottom, it improves it a lot. I'm not picking him myself, and I'm not looking at him really, but I can see the merit in it if you are. So now we got English, Witts, Grundy, and Cameron. The first thing I notice here with English is that his back half of the year looks absolutely horrific in the top section. But then the lower section, you'd go there thinking, oh, it's not going to be so bad, but it's only slightly less horrific. I guess, though, if you are picking him, then you're banking on him to return to his ability of years gone by, like a couple of years ago when he went like 128 or whatever it was. But yeah, this surely isn't what you'd want to see, I think. We know he loves to run away from those tank-type ruckmen, and it obviously shows here, but given that's how he scores a lot, I don't think the Essendon one should be too much of an issue from him, because they restrict through low stoppages, and if he's not scoring from them as much anyway, he's basically immune to their trap. So yeah, that aside though, it's not a great fixture anyway you want to look at it. So yeah, that should put you off, I think, if you're considering him. But I guess, as I said before, if you think he's going to return to that like 128 or whatever, this isn't going to matter, because he's just going to beat up on everyone. I guess Witts, he's not very Supercoach relevant anymore, and Hardwick said this week that whoever is in better form will get that ruck spot for the Suns. So Moyle seems pretty good, and he's obviously a lot younger. And with Witts aging, it's going to happen sooner or later. Moyle's going to take over. So combine that with the fact that he's got one of the worst fixtures here. And yeah, I don't think anyone should be picking him. Like, it's pretty bad. Have a look at that. No matter which way you look at it, I guess. Then we get to Grundy, and his fixture is even worse. It seems he either scores big or not at all. Like, look down here. It's either red or dark green mostly. So yeah, that's not good. He's another year older, obviously, and because he's that athletic type of ruckman, he's probably going to decline faster than those tankier types, because he doesn't rely on that kind of thing so much. Like, he needs to be able to, be fast for a ruckman, I guess, and he's always kind of played as that extra midfielder, but he's going to lose that. Whereas, a Nank, he relies on strength. He's probably not going to lose it. So, you can't lose what you never had. I think that's why Pendlebury's so good, actually, because, I'm going on tangent here, but he's never been fast. And so the thing that most players lose as they get older is their speed, but it doesn't affect him because he never had it to begin with. And then here's my man Cameron at the bottom. So given I'm pretty keen to start him, it worried me when I first saw this fixture, when I did like the first part here, and I hadn't done the second section yet. But then I saw the averages down here that he scored against these guys, and yeah, I was pretty happy again after that. So he seems to do well against everyone except Essendon and Cherry, so there's no shame in that. And he's only got them one each, so that's a good thing. Now, his first 6 rounds look pretty great. Yeah, especially if he gets TDK instead of Pitto. Like, I think TDK is a lot easier to score on, especially for Cameron. Post buy is even better though. Like, there's no red ones here at all. I mean, we can see up the top there's these red ones here. And to be fair, O'Brien and Gawn did keep him like below the ton average, but yeah, he seems to go well on Big O, 144, which is quite crazy actually, because in the earlier matchup in the season, Cameron played as the second ruck, Cox got the majority, and Cameron scored an 18 because he was playing mostly forward. But yeah, weird how that works. So I know there's no guarantee that he's going to back up these good scores against like these opponents again, but it is a good indicator, I think. That's all we're looking for, is indicators. You can't obviously, what's that ad and it says like past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, something like that. Well, yeah, it's true for this as well, but you can make educated guesses. So after seeing this, I'm pretty confident on him as a set and forget. I could end up having him, Gorn, and Cherry by the time my team's finished. So one of them maybe in the flex spot. Even though I don't know, I'm not hugely set on a ruckman in the flex spot because I think it gives you not much flexibility really if you need to move them out or move someone else in there. But anyway, it's a long way to go yet, so yeah, I haven't even thought about that too much. Lloyd Meek, he's got a pretty hard fixture here, and it's obviously doesn't really like those tank type rucks, so yeah, there's quite a few unknowns in there as well, because he did miss some games last year, to be fair, so I guess it's not all bad. The difficulty here as well, it could drop if TDK does play over Pitto, but again, it's that's an unknown within itself. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen there. He also only gets West Coast and Geelong once, so that's not great. He's not a terrible pick at all, but I'm not looking at picking him myself. Obviously, that's not based on this fixture alone, but yeah, it certainly helps him, or helps me rule him out, I guess. Yeah, I'm not going to spend as much time talking about these less relevant players, or at least the ones I deem less relevant. But yeah, I will talk about TDK, and looking at this top section, his first 7 games could be a really hot start here. Like, it's got good potential. So Geelong and West Coast, he's got in those 7 games, so that's really good. He's also got West Coast post-bye, so he's got them twice. That's really good. The only issue here is he didn't face a lot of these ruckmen last year, so it's a lot of unknown there. And this pretty much sums him up as a pick for me. He's high risk, high reward, and a whole heap of unknown. Things appear to get a bit more difficult after that first 7 games, like through here. If you have a look, there's obviously, we got the red ones start to appear at the bottom. But now this is not like me to say, but it's entirely possible that you could start him, ride the first 7 or so rounds, and then flip him to Cherry, who might be discounted by then. Because, yeah, Cherry's got a couple of harder ones. And if he doesn't back up last year's scores against them early on, he could, because he's priced so high, he could take a tumble pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm not exactly advocating for that. I'm just throwing it out there. Not my kind of strategy. Darcy, he's obviously injured again. What's new? But who knows what that even means for the season. He could be back. He never plays full seasons anyway, which is why I'm not picking him. I don't care how he scores. I'm not interested in that kind of circus. Regardless though, if he can get up for it, he's actually got a half decent fixture. Like the first 5 games here, they're pretty good. Obviously Grundy, he's pretty restrictive, and it appears Darcy doesn't like playing against him, but yeah, it's a pretty good start, I think. I would be surprised though if he even makes it like to here. So yeah, don't pick him, he's a trap. And then Briggs down the bottom, he's got one of the best fixtures here. That is until you look at the bottom here. So yeah, top section looks great, but the bottom, no thanks. He seems to score just shithouse against some of these rucks, which is really weird because he kind of dropped off a cliff last year. Unfortunately as well, he seems to play most of these that he doesn't like twice. The only positive I can even see here is that he gets West Coast and Geelong twice. But, you know, even still, no thanks. I'm not interested. I'm not considering Sweet or Conway, but I keep hearing them brought up around the places. So I've included him here, just out of fairness. Seeing a lot of red scores in the lower section here for Sweet. And considering how many of these matchups are actually unknown, like most of them did not play against that opponent, that's not a good sign. It's not a good start. He's also got that threat of Soldo, even though I think Sweet is the better player and he'd be the preferred one right now. You just never know, especially with Ken Hinkley. Conway's got even less known data, but based purely on the top section, it's a pretty rough fixture, even without like the shit down here. Yeah, I'm probably sounding a little bit harsh on these guys, but you know, how do you say it? Like, we don't have time to be wasting time thinking about them, I guess. Flynn, he's obviously a little different given how cheap he is compared to the rest. He also doesn't get to play West Coast twice for obvious reasons, and Geelong he only gets to play once, so that's not good at all. He's got a pretty rough start based on this top section here alone. I guess so. He only needs to average 80, which is what most ruckmen do as a minimum, most first rucks. So the fixture's not exactly a deal breaker for me, but the big issue with him is that West Coast still can't seem to work out if it's him or BJ for first ruck, and for that to still even be a question has put me right off the pick. Like, they can't rate him too much if BJ is potentially holding him out of the team. So yeah, another late one. That's all I've got really. Yeah, hit pause and have a look for yourselves at the guys here that you're interested in. Let me know in the comments if you find anything interesting. I really hope that this helps people though, because there seems to be a complete confusion right now around the ruck line. Yeah, just hearing from people, and yeah, as always with any of these videos though that I put out, they shouldn't be used in isolation. So they all kind of go together to create a bigger overview for each position and player. So I'm going to do my best tomorrow to get that Essendon preview out and start them up again. It's been purely like time constraints, but I'm also 60 subs away from my goal of 300 by round 0. So if you haven't already, please help me out with that by liking, subscribing, commenting, whatever. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing those comments and hearing what you guys found out of this one, if anything. So yeah, it's been another really long day though. It was my daughter's birthday and stuff, and I've been out all day, and yeah, this one was fairly time consuming itself. So yeah, I'm gonna clock off, and yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.